Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Having little Wi-Fi issues here. I don't know what's going on. Wi-Fi is usually pretty good, pretty cool, but I'm having little Wi-Fi issues here. Welcome to Real Talk. Sunday Real Talk with Joseph Brownlee. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Uh, I want to just welcome anyone that's new to this channel. If you're just browsing or just kind of curious about what's on my channel, this YouTube channel is based on different topics, different subjects. I don't have a real name for it, but it's based on identity. I do a lot of identity videos as well as audios, podcasts, and different things like that. So this is basically what this channel is about. So my name is Joseph Brown. I live in Chicago area, northwest side. If you're from Chicago, that's where I stayed. I don't know, maybe a little too dark right now. I'm not sure. Maybe I ought to add some light, maybe that'll help. A little light there, maybe not, but it just seems dark to me. I don't know how to look to you and everything, but I'm not a YouTube person. I don't know how the fancy works. I don't know how the fancy cameras or anything like that. I just get out here and I just do what I do. I do not edit, and I know editing is good, but my patience and certain things don't get me to the editing stuff. So I want to talk about my channel. First of all, real fast, my channel is a biblical perspective channel. That's the best way I can just say right there. Say about what I present and what type of creative content that I have on my channel. I basically talk about different things. I talk about life. I may even talk about a little politics, but I'm not going to get into about that. Away from politics, another story. But I talk about different things. I talk about lifestyle. I talk about the Bible. I talk about different things that's going on in life and looked at in a biblical perspective. So you won't be surprised, or you may be surprised what I talk about, or you may not be surprised, because I look at things in my vision of the way I see things. So I put a disclaimer on certain things that need to have a disclaimer on it, so I'll let you know when I'm trying to talk about something, or I'm breaking down a subject or a topic. I will let you know that I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a licensed pastor, anything like that, which you don't have to be a licensed pastor to teach God's word, but mainly what I'll be doing on here. So you will see different things on a biblical perspective. I talk quite a bit about mental illness, which I'm going to get into right now, and I talk about identity, knowing your identity, the importance of knowing your identity in Christ. So it is a biblical perspective YouTube. So if you're not a Christian, you're not a believer, and you don't want to hear nothing about the Bible or perspective, this YouTube, it's not for you. I appreciate you coming here, but it's not for you, because I do look at most of the things, everything in a biblical perspective. Now, with that being said, my channel is open to many beliefs. What I mean by that, it's not a channel that you can just throw your beliefs or your faith or whatever like that, because I don't do that. But I let you know what my channel is. I do not crush you. I do not force it on anyone, but that's what you're going to get on my YouTube. Now, you may have a different YouTube, and you might have your little, what you believe in and what you stand up for. That's very respectful, but, it's also open. So this is not a channel that debating faiths or anything like that or beliefs. It's open to all people and beliefs and everything, but it is a Christian station. Keep everything clean. I don't like profanity or anything like that on here. I understand everybody got their type of lingo, but I just want to put that out there. But what I want to get right into, if you just like a station like this, that's kind of open to whoever comes in, you're dealing with different things, whether you want to learn how to understand the Bible rightly divided. I teach the mid-Acts 9 dispensational Bible, rightly divided way. I don't teach traditional Bible study or nothing like that. I just read the Bible, I just teach it in a rightly divided way. If you want to understand what God is really saying, or you're just interested in being saved and know more about Christianity or the body of Christ, this is a channel for you. But I talk about different things. I talk about food, I talk about weight loss, I talk about movies, I talk about different things. I have music on here, some that I created by AI. I do utilize AI, and I use AI to create my music, but I also use AI. I write a lot of my music, and I use AI to create the singers and stuff like that for me. I do so when you see my music, don't think it's me singing. No, no, it's not. It's created by AI, but the majority, I'm not going to say the majority, but a lot of my music is written by me. Then the rest of it is created by AI in the kind of style that I like it. Until that gets set up and I can create my own music, I will do everything myself. But right now, I just use AI to utilize in creating the music for me while I work on writing different type of lyrics. Okay, that's what you're going to get in my YouTube. You know, you get it all, but it's all in a biblical perspective. I have two podcasts. There's one called Body of Christ Real Talk Audio, and the other one is called Connecting the Dots, which I don't really utilize anymore, but that's straight out Bible study. If you want to learn how to study the Bible, it's not a Bible school or training like that, but if you want to learn how to study the Bible, Connecting the Dots is one. If you want to just hear things in a clean, biblical perspective way on different topics in life and weight loss or business or retirement, different things like that, Body of Christ Real Talk will be for you as well. But everything is looked at in a biblical perspective because I don't hide back. I don't try to hide that I am a Christian. I'm a believer and I love Jesus Christ. Okay? Now, MDD. I want to continue. Also, subscribe if you'd like to subscribe to my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe or leave a comment. You're welcome to leave a comment. This is kind of still fresh, still building setup channel, so feel free. Okay. I want to get back on. If you notice, I got the same clothes on from my last video, so I don't wear the same clothes. This is just I'm doing it the same day, Sunday. So what you see, what I got on, I had a hat on earlier and everything. I just took the hat off, but it's the same day. That's why I got the same clothes. You know, I don't want nobody thinking I just wear the same thing. But it just happened to be the same day, Sunday. I think today is the 7th, February 7th. So this video and the last video is based on Sunday. Okay, so that's why I got the same clothing on. All right, I try to do these on a weekend when I have free time because I still work over 50 hours a week through the weekdays. So I find my free time to do my content, creative content, Bible study, Bible perspective, topics and subjects. The subject I'm going to be talking about for the next few weeks, Lord's willing, is mental disorder, mainly MDD, maladaptive daydreaming. Please check out the previous video. I put out a lot of stuff out there. I'm putting myself out there because I want people to understand. Even though you may seem like everything is going well, or you may be a Christian, you may be a believer, or whatever your faith is, people may look at you because you're on podcasts or you're on YouTube and Facebook and think everything is okay. Because they don't know your scars. They don't know your story. And this is something I don't need to do, but I feel that I'm obligated, not obligated, I feel that it's more that I want to do it. Let me just put it that way. Because I've been doing a lot of research, not only on myself, with the struggles I've been having lately with anxiety, somatic anxiety, different things. I struggle with a lot of mental disorders as well as anxiety in my life. I had quite a bit of phobias growing up and different types of anxiety attacks. And I will get into that, not today. I want to specifically focus on MDD, which is the acronym for maladaptive daydreaming. That's what I want to talk about. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed doctor. I'm not a psychologist or a clinician or anything like that. I'm just a layman. I'm just a man of God, man in Christ, that want to help people to understand that you're not the only one out there. Plus, I want people to understand, many people struggle with MDD but don't have the name of what they struggle with. They don't know. See, I found out the name maladaptive daydreaming, about a year or so ago, from this psychologist, Ellie Summer. Thank God for Ellie Summer. And he labeled that name on the condition that me and thousands, maybe millions of others suffer with, struggle with. He named it maladaptive daydreaming. I'm a person funny about names because OCD, ADHD, autism, those names was created by man. God only knows the real reason why we do what we do, or we did what we did with our mental disorders. You know, because I'm going to get into the spiritual and the demonic aspect of it as well. For a biblical perspective, that can have something to do with it as well, but I don't have too much research on that. But as me being a Christian, I cannot ignore that some of this stuff is spiritual as well as genetically or trauma. You know, real talk. So you have these different names: MDD, ADHD, ADD, which kind of a lower form of ADHD is just don't have the hyperactivity like ADHD. And later on down the line, I'm gonna break a lot of these things down from the research I have done, and my interest has been lately to know more about. I know a lot about MDD, but know more about my other comorbidity, which is ability, which is ADHD as well as autism. I believe I struggled more with ADHD, not as much as MDD, but more than my autism. People might call it neurodivergence and different things like that. The mind is something. The mind, remember that commercial, the mind is a terrible thing. The way said it's so true. But some of us have struggled with different mental disorders, but we never had a name on it to put a face with our comorbidities or our spectrums that we go through. So it's a lot to mental disorders, which I struggle with a lot from my childhood up to my adulthood, over 50 years. Now I'm going to talk more about MDD and weed. Being high during MDD, I'm going to piggyback what I left off on my previous video. I'm trying to keep these at least 15 to 20 minutes long. And I want to talk about that. I want to piggyback more on that, Like I said, my disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you advice. I'm talking about myself. I'm putting myself out there. And I'm telling you about my experience with MDD, not yours. I love to hear you. I listen to many people that have struggles or have struggles, young people especially, with MDD. And the more I hear older people like myself or younger with MDD, I get more out of it, because if they struggle that long and a lot of their symptoms are just like mine, or like mine was. Like I said, I believe I'm about 90 to 95% free of. I don't do long daydreams and I don't make moves no more. It's boring to me now. I don't have that desire no more because my life has been, I have so many other things in my life took the place of me being a long daydreamer. And the older that I get, this is my experience, I just don't have that desire or that lust to go into these long daydreams. That means, you can't control it. If you allow yourself to control it. There's many different techniques and things that you can do. Dr. Ellie, he has a lot of resources and stuff. I have resources myself if you're interested in that can help you. But before I get started, people may want to know, Joe, what did you do to make yourself stop? I'm going to be honest with you, and I try to be very transparent and honest. It was nothing I've done or I planned to do. It just happened. What do you mean by that? It just means when I got married and when I got saved, I became a Christian, and when I started getting involved in other things, I just didn't have the desire for MDD anymore. That's my story. I don't have a story that I use this technique or whatever like that. Things just happen to happen because I got people in my life. And I got married. I was married, from Saturday City 2 times. I was married, and that took, I'm not now, but I will get married again. My future fiance, that's another story. And I got saved. But did that take away the MDD right away? No. I just didn't have that much time, or I didn't have as much solitude time, a long time to find. So it kind of played out. As I got older and I got off drugs, my creativeness, content, you might say, became boring. I couldn't create like I used to. Okay, so that's what happened with me. It just naturally, if I could put it that way, went away. It got bored to me, But my ADHD and my kind of compulsiveness and hand movements and my excitement still there. I still get over anxious, and my mind still wander, not to the point of making a movie, but I still can wander off. So that's why I say about 90%. I don't think it'll never be clear, and anything like that, but that's just my opinion. That I don't know anyone that's fully been delivered from MDD. And as me being a Christian, the only one can do that is God. The God is not doing that today, but he uses us to get through these things while we have the peace going through it under grace. That's very important to understand. I see videos out there, and I'm not putting nobody down, that's talking about MDD. The majority of them are young people, and they are Christians. And I think they need to be careful because they make it seem like it's a one, two, three thing, and then MDD is gone. And most of these people are very young, and some of them may not even have MDD. They might even have OCD or just daydream a long time. I don't know. I never talked to them, but I believe I can find out if I did. So, um, make believers, if you are a Christian or anybody, be careful when you try to talk to people or even try to sincerely help people. If you're out there just for the algorithms or analytics or just trying to get paid, for each his own, it's okay. But my point is, people really looking for help. They're not looking for you because you sound good or you research and you know something about it and you don't really struggle that much with it. You just know something about it. And that's why I look at the older generation that struggle with MDD, ADHD, and different things like that because they've been there, done that, like myself. And they out there really trying to help someone. Not all of them, but most of them are out there trying to really help someone. Okay? Now, let me digress. I said before on my last show, the reason I'm talking about drugs and MDD because I don't hear that much of people. And I like to hear more about people that whatever drug it was, how was it your MDD when you off on drugs or whatever drug it is. Mine was pot. I'm old school. I still call it pot, marijuana, and weed. Mine was weed, so I could talk about that. I drank and I done things. I dabbled in other drugs, but my main drug, and it is a drug. I don't care what nobody try to say. It is a drug. Weed was my I don't know what you call it. Was my choice of drug. Let me just put it that way. I'm not a drug connoisseur, nothing like that. But marijuana pot was my help to cope with my MDD. Couldn't get that out. And when I smoked weed, and I smoked a lot of weed, it enhanced my characters and my movies. Let me read a little bit more here because I had a lot of this written down, created. Go to my last video where I left out why it felt so good. Let's talk about the faces, how the faces became so clear. The characters in the faces. I'm just going to read straight through. And because I do want to get into another topic and subject, but I want to talk about MDD and being high, and I want to conclude it of some things you can do to help you to control the MDD. Now, these things I learned later. Like I said, these things I didn't do to stop my MDD. It just naturally got boring, and I just replaced it with things to do, marriage, Christianity, different things, but it didn't go away right away. It's not fully gone, but it does help to replace it with something else, some type of activity, some type of something, So, let's talk about the faces. This is one of the biggest things I remember is the faces. Me being an MDD, faces are very important. I can create faces as well. I can do that now. But back then, even before my getting high days, I didn't have to do much creating faces because I used cartoons and characters. I used those faces. I just enhanced them more, So faces was very important to me when it came to my fantasies, which I like to use them more than daydreams because it was beyond daydreaming, baby. I can do it all day, meaning 8-hour day in a fantasy world. Really. Okay, and I'm getting into that. How it really drained me. When I was sober, I could still daydream. Now, this is my past before I was getting high. But the faces and details could be fuzzy. I couldn't know who somebody was in the story, but the picture wasn't always sharp. I'm going somewhere with this. When I was high, it was different. Faces looked more real. Expressions looked more real. See, those things was very important in my MDD. It may be different from yours, but mine, yes. Eye contact looked more real. It was like my mind could zoom in. I can see the look on somebody's face, the mood in their eyes, the little changes in their mouth when they smiled or got mad. That made the whole fantasy feel more believable. And once the faces got clear, the emotions got stronger because the more real it looked, the more real it felt. This is very important for an MDDer. That's what I call for short. MDD or MDDers. They MDD people know what I'm talking about. We got our own community. It was more. It was very important for me for faces, eyes, color of eyes, mouth movements. Not so much the body, because everybody's body looked pretty decent in my daydreams. That was very important for me, faces, eyes, mouth movement, and different things like that for me. To the point, when I make up a character when I wasn't high, it was more of a load on my brain. If I could say it was more of a load on my brain. I really had to just really dig, and it became frustrating because the characters had to keep looking the same, especially if I had a sequel. They had to look the same. If they was off a little bit, I had to find a picture or move or remind myself how that character looked. Unless I created it, it was even harder. But the characters I used, whether it was real life or whether it was in a movie, they had to look not perfectly the same because no one can do that, but at least close to the same for me. I'm not going to say no one, but I could not do that. Okay? So that was very important. The sounds of the voices had to be close, not perfect for me. These are for the series because I never really had a one day unless I just daydreamed about something. And but when it comes to a sequel or it came to a series, I had to have a memory and be more creative. But when I was high, it was not that hard. See, but that's the good side of it. Not only did it feel good because I can be so into it, you know, and psychologists they can break it down better, but I'm just using my lingo, my ninth grade lingo. When I was into it, I had to have movement. I had to have room. That's why I stayed in solitude. I had to be alone. It had to be quiet because things distracted me. I still get distracted fast today when I'm trying to study. But then it was really, man, it has to be quiet before I really got into my fantasies. I had to move. I had to walk around. I had to play out. I could not play. You ever see directors or, composers? That's how I was. I had to be there. I just cannot do like some people can just have MDD. Most of them have to move. But you have some. I heard a young lady talking about she could just. No, that wasn't me, man. I had to move because I was so much into it. I was perfectionist. It had to be just right. I didn't have that much of an issue when I was high. It became more easy, but I still had to move. Okay? Especially my long day dreams. All right. The visuals and the movie quality. Colors felt deeper, oh, so real. Scenes felt brighter. Now, people know when they get high, things just look more better. You can like your mind is opened up more, it's more clear. The camera angles in my mind felt smoother. The world felt more filled in. It wasn't just a thought, it was like a set, like a stage, like a real place with lighting. That's why I called it a movie engine, okay? When I was high, that engine ran hot. That engine ran hot. Now, what I'm saying is, it was on 4D, man. I mean, it was so clear when I got into these characters. See, that's the thing about MDD. Joe, how do you know all that if he was out of it? That's the thing. I was not out of it. That's the difference between sometimes OCD or people that just have split personality. This was a split personality. This wasn't somebody out of their body and they became another person. No, that's not MDD. That is not MDD. I forgot what you call it, but it's not MDD. I don't think that's not really OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Trying to do things and distracting yourself because you don't want those crazy weird thoughts. MDD is different. You look for you search for the thoughts because it felt good. It was like a high, especially if you was already an introvert, like I was. See, it was like a high, especially if you was already a person that struggled with attention, like ADHD or slow learning, like I was. You can create this perfect character, whether it's you or someone else. Basically, it's you in your fantasy world. See, in your fantasy world. That's why it's important for me to talk about the spiritual aspect of the involvement, why so many people struggle with this now. It's more than just genetics with me. It's more than just trauma. And I believe both of them have a big part of it and stuff. But nobody talks about the spiritual part. They don't, it could be spiritual parts to it too. I really believe that. I'll talk about that later. But whether mine was, maybe a little bit of both, I'm not sure. But my point is, you don't want to rule out the genetic, you don't want to rule out the trauma, and Christians, you don't want to call everything the devil. One young lady was saying, maladaptive daydreaming is a sin. Oh, okay, wow. Thank you. That tells me you don't know too much about MDD. And she's a young lady, young black American. Say she's a Christian. And sometimes I have a little patience with that, but when I hear that, and I take it seriously, when I hear a believer talk about MDD or any type of mental disorder, the first thing they want to say is demonic, which is not true. Everything's not demonic, okay? And there are other disorders besides being demonic, and everything's not spiritual, but some things are. But I believe most things are not. We was born in sin. We was born in sin. So we have these imperfect brains and minds and stuff that can be affected, not only from the spirit world, but from different mishaps in our body and our genes and our DNA and everything like that. So everything's not spiritual and everything's not genetical because of trauma. That's my point. Okay, so when me as a believer, I'm talking to people that's of all faiths. Everybody don't want to hear that you sinning. Maladaptive daydreaming is sinning. So is lying. So is fornication. So is adultery. So is all kind of stuff that you're sinning today. But when you open up, you have a title saying maladaptive daydreaming is sinning, or you give the name the spirit of fantasy, the spirit of this, the spirit of that. You're going to get people that only runs in your crowd that believes that way all the time. Their mind is focused on sin all the time and spirit things. I don't do that. I'm not into all that. See, that's not my thing. It might be yours, but that's my point. So if you're looking for something like that as a believer, for me to say things like that, no, you need to go somewhere else. I'm just trying to be real because I'm trying to reach everybody besides just Christians. I'm trying to reach everybody to understand. Whether you become a believer or not, and I wish you would, that's on you. But I'm not here to just say it's a spiritual thing. And it could be, but I'm just going by my experience when I struggled before I knew the name with MDD. So these things I'm reading now is my struggles. Okay? That's all I knew. See, my struggles then. Could it be spiritual? Sure it can. I don't see any proof of that yet, but it could be. It could be. But I'm not ruling out everything else because what I'm reading and what I'm researching now is just what I know for now. See, that's what I know for now as a believer. Okay? All right. I'm going to read a few more. Oh, it went too fast. Why I felt more creative. Let me read this. I didn't have to force the story. I was just talking about that. The story came to me. New scenes, new lines. All right, let me get you out the way. New twists, new relationships, new drama. My mind could build it on the spot. I can take one real life moment and turn it into a whole episode. Especially when I started getting high. The more solitude I had, the more time I had to be creative. Time was of the essence with me. Time was very important in my MDD daydreaming battle. I had to have the time. That's why I didn't hang out a lot. That's why I had few friends, few girlfriends. Didn't like crowds. I was very paranoid around crowds because of my phobia too. I was very uncomfortable around a lot of people because I felt like they knew something about me, even though they had no idea. Besides my family and neighbors and stuff like that. I felt that most people knew something about me and knew about my secret world. So I didn't want to really get in the crowd and just start talking about life and different things like that because, man, you don't want to hear my life because my life is in my head. I'm honest to God, being truthful to you all. The majority of my life, 60 maybe 70% of my life, was an identity of characters. Could you imagine living your life? An MDD came, okay, or someone with mental, or maybe OCD or ADHD autism. But MDD, because our biggest uh, comorbidity is daydreams, creative daydreams. 60%, this is my numbers. You know, like I said, I've never been diagnosed by no psychologist. Most MDDers are self-diagnosed because the majority of the psychologists don't understand. They know what it is. It's still new to them. Even though I know it probably been around thousands. I'm sure it's been around thousands of years, even in biblical times. Only God knows what's really going on. I'm going to always say that only God knows what it really is. Maladaptive daydreaming is that a name they just put on it. Just like the name of ADHD, they all put on it. See? I think it's 1902. This British psychologist named George Steele was one of them that really kind of coined the name on ADHD because of the way some of the students and stuff was acting. You can look it up. Please, his name is George Steele. I'm doing a research on that. I'm into all this stuff now. I'm doing the research because I want to know. I ain't got to know, but I want to know because I want to be able to help others as well as myself, but mainly for others. So, with all that said, I'm gonna stop here. MDD. That's why I just titled my last one MDD and weed. This is like going to be like I just call it like it is. I don't say cannabis or nothing like that. I'm just being me. If you two don't like that, they can might take it out. But I'm just being me. Some weed. I'm not using cannabis and all that because I just knew marijuana. I just knew weed, bowl and stuff like that. So I'm transparent. You know, and I like to just be me. I like to be real. I don't like to just try to pull a crowd because they want me to say what they want to say. You know, I'm careful what I say because of YouTube, because there's so much more I want to say. You know, but my thing is this: my majority of my life, and I'm very real with this, was controlled. I'm not going to say controlled because I was never controlled. Was my love, and it was a love for my fantasies, MDD, because it helped me to not really want to know myself. Now, this sounds funny, but I thought the weakness and the introvertness and the my slow learning was who I was. So I didn't want to know that person. Really. As I think I really didn't want to know that person because I only knew that one world. I never knew who my identity. I never knew who was the real Joseph Brown. I never knew. I just really discovered a few years ago, not a few years, after a few years, as when I got saved, when I became a Christian. And I'm honest with that. See, that's my story. And I didn't have to focus on my real identity no more because my identity is in Christ. But with all that said, at that time, when I was young, 27, I don't know the age. I don't want to just make up ages. I don't want to just do that. You know, to my young adult, to my my mid-teens and my older teens and my adulthood, going into my older adulthoods, not the longer daydreams, uh, I just never knew my full identity. I don't think too many people really do because being born in sin. But my point is, when you struggle with MDD or even autism or even OCD or ADHD, you never really know your full self. You always doubt and question yourself. And somewhat normal people, because most everybody on this earth has some type of disability. They might not have a mental disability, but I'm talking about people like myself and others that struggle with these somewhat disorders. And I believe MDD is a disorder. with maladaptive daydream and ADHD. Why do I keep mentioning those? Because those are two ones that really took in my life. And I just discovered that I have those spectrums. Anecdotally. So I'm going to get more into that, okay? Going into next week and everything. I hope you got something out of it. This is Joseph Brown. I love you. If you interested in hearing more about MDD, just leave a comment. I'm a researcher as well, so I can research different things, whether it's MDD, ADHD, OCD, or whatever. I can help you out free of charge or something like that. So if you're interested in anything like that, just leave a comment or any type of Bible study comment or whatever topic you want to talk about. Just leave a comment and whatever like that and help my channel to grow. I'm not asking for no money, but I just help my channel to grow so I can reach more people with different content looked at a biblical perspective, okay? God bless you all. Peace out. Love y'all. This is Joseph Brownlee Real Talk. Bye-bye. Peace out.